Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Dr. Stone, and to all our witnesses who are here today. I just spent a couple weeks back in the district and had a chance to tour some of our VA clinics in anticipation of this hearing coming up. I had the opportunity to ask the professionals at our VAs what are some of the things that we can do collectively to try and reduce suicide. And one of the things that was mentioned to me on several occasions was focusing more on that transition period out of Department of Defense active duty life and into the VA, and how we can do a better job coordinating. And I know we touched upon this a little bit, but are there ways, because my understanding, I'm not a veteran, but as you're coming out of active military, there's a lot of information that's thrown at you. It's one of the VA professionals actually likened it to a phrase I'm pretty familiar with: drinking from a fire hose. So what can we do? What kind of coordination efforts are taking place between the DoD and the VA, and is the DoD being cooperative in assisting the VA reach a veteran in that 6 to 12 month period prior to getting out of active duty?
So the answer is yes. DoD is being great partners in this process. We'd always like to have more time to spend with the veteran, because the more time we spend with the veteran, the more likely they are to engage with us after they get out of service. I think secondly, are we effectively outreaching in that year after they get off of active duty? You have funded us very graciously, and we'll spend about $200 million this year in outreach efforts of various types, everything from electronic billboards to websites in which we're reaching out to even direct mailings. We mailed 500,000 letters to Other Than Honorable in December of last year, and we're able to capture well over 1,000 veterans to come in and see us. But it all depends on the individual, and it all, most importantly, depends on when the individual is really open to hearing our message. There is no doubt that we are the most integrated healthcare system when it comes to mental health. And the ability for us to interact with that veteran and provide integrated ongoing services is what's essential to their well-being in the future.
Thank you for that. And one of the interesting programs that I heard about from the VA region that I represent, I'm not sure if you're familiar with something called Freeze the Keys. Have you heard of this before?
I have not, but Dr. Franklin may.
No.
Okay, so touching a little bit upon our conversation earlier about gun violence. So in the Syracuse VA region in upstate New York, they told me about this program that they are implementing called Freeze the Keys, where they will take the keys of a gun storage cabinet. The veteran may own a firearm that they keep in a storage cabinet, and they keep that storage cabinet locked. And they will take the keys from the storage cabinet and put it into a cup, and then put water in the cup, freeze the cup in a freezer. So when the veteran has the impulse that they may want to go get their firearm to commit suicide, they actually have to get the key out of that frozen cup, which creates more time for them to think about the act that they may take. And on this cup is a picture perhaps of a loved one, perhaps of the Veterans Crisis Suicide number, just something that they're doing where they think it may give more time, because it's an impulse, it's a quick impulse when you want to take your life. This may give a little more time for them to think about it before they actually are able to get the key out of the ice and go to the storage cabinet, get the firearm, and commit suicide. Seems like a good practice.
One of the most deeply troubling facts in survivors of suicide is that in about 25%, the distance between the decision to commit an act of self-harm to actually committing the act is 5 minutes. And in about half, it is less than 60 minutes. Anything that puts distance between that decision and attempts to de-escalate the crisis has value. Whether putting keys and freezing them in, putting a picture of a loved one, or simply the phone ringing of a loved one saying, "I've been thinking about you," is a chance to de-escalate.
Thank you. I certainly would encourage you, because it just seemed like a wonderful program that they're utilizing up in the area that I represent. Perhaps it's a practice that maybe we could use across the country to help give more time to make that decision.